the scheduled February 2nd, 2016 meeting of the Levy County Board of County Commissioners to order. Will you please rise for the prayer by Commissioner Rock Meeks and the pledge led by Commissioner Stevens.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you thanking you for this day. Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you so much for the blessings you bestowed upon us. And ask you, Heavenly Father, just to pray a special prayer for our men and women and our military, Heavenly Father, and our law enforcement, our paramedics, and EMTs, Heavenly Father. I just ask you just to please be with them and bless them and their families, Heavenly Father, and just thank you so much for what they give to the community, Heavenly Father. And just ask you to be with this board as we make decisions for this county, Heavenly Father, that we make the right decisions. We ask you, Heavenly Father, just to please continue to be with those and bless them that have lost family members recent, Heavenly Father. And I just ask you now, I just want to thank you now, Heavenly Father, for sending your Son Jesus to die on the cross so we could go to heaven. I ask the thing in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. All right, our first order of business this morning is public comments. I don't have any public comment forms before me. Does anybody want to come forward at this time for public comment? Mr. Sheffield.
I'd just like to remind anybody of the Fanning Springs persuasion, or if you know anyone, that today's election day up there to fill the vacant city council seat. And in the primary, there was 11 votes difference, and that's what the third candidate managed to get. So it's going to be a close one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? All right. Our first item of business this morning is Mr. William Betts and Miss Dottie Hyde. Hyde. Yes, ma'am. Please come to the podium.
Well, good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Shipp, and the Attorney for the Council for the Brown.
Good morning.
We all know that litter is a problem in Levy County, especially when the mowing crews chop it into thousands of little pieces. Litter is an eyesore. It decreases property values, depresses tourism, and discourages potential new residents from relocating to Levy County. We understand the county does not have the manpower nor the resources or the budget to pick up the litter on a regular basis. But if we want our county to grow and prosper and to attract new businesses and residents, we should present a cleaner picture that shows our pride in living here. We try to clean up a little bit of an area where we live down by Willards. That's County Road 337, just south of County Road 326. We already pick up small amounts of litter that we squeeze into our garbage can for pickup by Waste Pro each week. But we are just a couple of low-income seniors. We cannot afford to spend money taking larger amounts of trash to the county dump. So we started talking to people about what we could do about this and found out about the Adopt a Road program. But there are some requirements in that program that would end up costing us money. In particular, we are asked to make repeated trips to the road department, which is in Bronson, to pick up and return forms, traffic signs, tools, and so on. This is why we are asking for a few changes to this agreement. I believe you've been supplied with copies of this Adopt a Road agreement, and I'm going to go over a couple points that y'all can discuss, I guess, later, and then get back to us and see what we can do to work this out. The very first page was the resolution 2006-09 when the county approved the Adopt a Road program. Paragraph number 3 says that the county coordinator may make minor changes to individual Adopt a Road agreements, provided the changes do not constitute substantive changes to the original form. So I want to outline a couple of the changes that I feel would help maybe both of us out. Under section 1, letter F, we are asked to pick up and return to the road department safety vests, traffic control signs, each time we do a cleanup. We'd like to do a cleanup probably once a month, depending on whether it's the middle of the summer or not. Because we are about a 30-mile round trip from the road department, we would be spending quite a bit of money driving there and back. Would it be possible to keep these items in our storage shed at our home, or can we work with our county commissioner, Mr. Joyner, to have them stored someplace closer to us? Under section 1, letters K and M, regarding release forms and productivity reports that are supposed to be returned after every, or before or after every pickup. Can those be mailed in or somehow be sent in via email instead of delivering them in person? And then under section 1, letter N, where it talks about posting the Adopt a Road sign. We're not really interested in having a sign up saying with our names on it and stuff, particularly if we might be picking up a different section on occasion depending on the amount of litter. So that section also says to place the filled trash bags at the Adopt a Road sign for the county to come and pick them up. So if we're not going to have a sign posted, could we somehow find another place to put those trash bags on collection day, perhaps at Morris Junction or Willards if the owners are agreeable on doing that, you know, one day a month or something. And if we do go ahead and sign this agreement with the county, we ask that we be informed ahead of time of any scheduled mowing so we can get out there and clean up before the litter is chopped up into little tiny bits, which makes pickup just about impossible. And also we would like to be informed of any scheduled cleanup by area inmates so that we can coordinate our efforts. We would like to keep this agreement simple and uncomplicated. We're just a couple of seniors willing to volunteer to help keep our county cleaner. If we can't come to an agreement on the changes we have proposed, we ask that you work with us to help us find a way to dispose of larger amounts of litter without costing us dump fees and gas for the long drive to the rescue station. Thank you.
We understand that each and every one of you represents a certain district in Levy County. It would be beneficial to all of us to have a much cleaner county and more presentable to people coming in from out of state that we already know have moved in on 337 that come down here every winter for the goat or for the black bronc event and various other horse events in the area. These are people that are well-educated, well-funded, and to be perfectly honest with you, I've talked to a couple other people and they've been very disappointed in the appearance of Levy County. We understand that Levy County is not a rich county. Most of the people that live in Levy County are either retired or on low income. It's not, so what we're doing is asking to kind of cut through a lot of the red tape that is on the forms that we have received and so forth. I've talked to Mr. Joyner a couple of times, and he was kind enough to get us on the agenda today to discuss this and talk about it. We do not expect a decision right away or anything like that. We'd like you to take this into consideration and think about how you would like to live in this county. I mean, you drive up and down the roads every day, you see what's on the roads, and it's pretty deplorable. There are certain sections that are worse than others. For one thing, 326 from 337 to Highway 41 is usually a disaster area. For some reason or other, we've got people that, because the refuge facilities are so far away, and they can't afford the $51 every 3 months that we pay Wage Pro to pick our trash up, they just wrap it in little clear plastic, or store bags, the plastic bags, and there's one particular place that one person likes to dump this at least once every other day or so. And you can tell by, it's all the same bags and it's all the same thing, and it's gotten to be a common thing. You would think that today, with the education and knowledge of environment and of our environment and just living in a little bit cleaner area. I've been living in Florida since 1940, and I was 2 years old then. All my life was living on the east side, from Miami to Fort Lauderdale and them areas. We never had a problem with litter or anything like that. Since I have moved 11 years ago to property that I bought in Woodland Acres, which is off of 337, I bought the property in 1972. I used to come up here as a kid, hunting up in these areas, and the town was even smaller than it was now. I mean, it's just that we feel that living in this area, we just would like to keep it a little bit cleaner. I know there's no laws against us picking trash up. We can go out and pick trash up anytime we like. So, like I said, we're hoping to work with Mr. Joyner, and he seems able to helping us resolve some type of program to where we can clean the area up. The main thing is trying to get ahead of the mowers, because once they go over it, and which they just did on 337, you will find stuff chopped up all over the place. And that's one of our main concerns, is trying to beat the mowers to the track before they get to it, because they don't pick it up, they just cut it up. So, in any case, thank you very much for listening to us, and we certainly appreciate anything that you can help us with, even in your own districts. And we'd be happy to, before we moved here, we belonged to what they call the Litter Bug group. And it was a group of seniors that met every month at a location that we designated. And what we did was we put markers out with little flags on them, marker 1, marker 2, just 1 mile. 1 mile up, 1 mile back. And 2 people picked up trash going up and going back. We always had a pair of people, not a single person. We wore colorful shirts. We didn't have any vest with the signs on the back or anything, but we had bright yellow shirts on, and it said "Delitter Bugs" on the front, and it had a little guy with a little pickup tool, and it worked wonders where we lived. Our area ended up, people, once they got the idea of it, and there is a lot of seniors who would volunteer to help do this. It's not a major change in
Of the culture.
I don't have the words for it, but that's why I had my wife talk, because I'm a little illiterate when it comes to using the right language or the right words. And I certainly don't want to upset anybody here. So I'm simply asking you to think about this, look it over. Maybe at your next meeting, at the end of the month, we could come in and maybe come up with some ideas or something like that to where we can help out doing this. We'd be more than happy to do it at no cost. What we're trying to do is eliminate some of the costs to the county, which means that you have to bring inmates here or whatever it may be to pick up trash when you can do it, when it's available to be able to do it. And it costs the county a lot of money to have a bus go pick up the inmates, bring them back, have the trash picked up, blah, 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 so forth. And, basically we're trying to save the county a little bit of money by doing this ourselves. And not only that, but it's good exercise for a lot of these seniors. It wouldn't hurt them a bit to get out there and walk a mile or two and, be part of the community and be part of keeping it clean. So thank you very much for listening.
I like some of the ideas that you all have presented to us today. I like some of the ideas that you all have presented to us today.
Thank you very much,
Mr. Bett, me and you talked on the phone several times. I want to apologize to you. I had forgot about the Adopted Highway program. I got with Mr. Moody on it, and we're trying to come up with a solution now about it.
Okay.
But from my standpoint, if Mr. Moody, if I say something out of the way, we are gonna help you with it and take care of it. If nothing else, I go down the road every day, back and forth. So I got cows that we cows that go family. I live in Marvin. I either got a utility trailer, a cow trailer, or a flatbed. Y'all pick it up, put it on the side of the road, I'll pick it up. Y'all need the exercise, I need the exercise. Okay? We're gonna work it out.
That's what I figured, that we'll be able to get together.
I guarantee you, we're gonna work it out.
And work this out to where it would be beneficial for everybody. And all of you, Mrs. Roach, and Mr. Leach, and Mr. Stevens, and Mr. Leach, and Mr. Sheriff, all of your districts, you might follow, if it works out, and if we can come to some type of agreement, if it works out, it might be beneficial for all of you to try to organize a small group of people to pick up, I'm not talking about the whole county, because Levy County is quite a large county, but there are certain areas that are far more illiterate than other places, and that's what we work on, is the places that are most, have the most literature in most places. And like Mr. Williams said, we have no problem putting them in a plastic bag, putting them on the side of the road like they do now, even when they get to it. So once you go along, fix the plastic bag, the bags up, and take them to the refuge. So, it would save the county a lot of money, and it would also keep the county looking a little bit nicer. And when you're spending money on advertisement for tourists and so forth, we had a couple of friends come down from Michigan, and they were thinking of relocating here, and to be quite honest with you, they were really depressed to see the amount of trash and so forth that was on the roadways here. And kind of set them back a little bit as far as actually wanting to move down here. But we see more and more people moving into this county that are very well off and can afford to live here and can afford to donate some of their time to doing it. So that's all I have to say. But thank you so much.
One other thing, Mr. Bett, after the meeting, if you will give Mr. Moody, him and I talk about it, and he's come up with some good ideas.
Okay.
And if y'all will talk with him after the meeting about it, or he can call and set up an appointment with him, we've got some ways we're gonna get it worked out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Mr. Knowles.
Morning, Chairman.
Good morning.
Commissioners,
Morning.
I have one item on the agenda, but before I go to that item, I'd like the opportunity to bring the commission up to speed on two events that we've had recently. If the chairman will allow me.
Yes.
On January 23rd, we set a new milestone for Levy County Public Safety, and then within Levy County, we placed our 7th transport unit in service at the Morrison Fire Station the morning of January 23rd. So far, that unit has been a success, so now we have 7 transport units working within Levy County 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This has all been possible over the last 4 years without having to increase our EMS assessments to any of the taxpayers in the county. They're still paying $119 a month in EMS assessments, and we've improved our system drastically without having to go back and ask the citizens for increasing this assessment rate. We do plan on having an open house, but we wanted to make sure the unit was on and operational before we did open house. But that has been a long goal of some of the commissioners here, Commissioner Stevens, since day one that I started here. And I told him when we felt comfortable and we were able to do it financially and personnel-wise that we would do it. And that 7th transport unit is online and operating, along with other commissioners that have pushed me to make this happen. So without the support of this county commission and the board of commissioners and Mr. Moody, this wouldn't have happened. So I wanted to thank the commissioners and Mr. Moody for all the support in bringing on the 7th transport unit at no additional expense to taxpayers in this county.
Good job.
For the record, I believe he misspoke. He said $119 a month. It's $119 annually. Thank you for the assessments for the record.
Thank you.
I wonder if he was able
Not
to.
in this hand. Your teeth are probably chattering.
I would have let you know about it.
So that wouldn't have been possible without the support of our staff making this happen. As well, last Fire Rescue East Conference 2 weeks ago, our Advanced Life Support Competition team, which is sponsored by our 2 medical directors for the county, placed 8th out of 23 teams in the state. They beat out Miami-Dade Fire Rescue, City of Ocala, so they did phenomenal, and they continually get better and better each time. They've gone from 15 to 11 to 8. So each year in each competition they participate in, they continue to get better. So it's been phenomenal. And they do it on their own time. We help pay for some of their training leave for that, but they present Levy County in professional manner when they're out there and let Levy County shine. For this morning's agenda item, this is one part of the Citizens Firefighter Act grant programs that we've done for the last 3 years. This is one we haven't done this portion of the Citizens Firefighter Act grant. This is a safer grant, and we're gearing it towards recruitment and retention. Same as we have to do other grants, we have to electronically sign. So I'm here before the board today to request the board's approval for me to electronically sign the grant package when it's completed and meets legal sufficiency from the attorney's office. We're on time frames once they release the package and it doesn't match up with our board meetings. So I'm asking ahead of time once we finish this and we have it presented and it meets legal sufficiency, the board approved me to electronically sign that as we've done in the past with the other AFE grants that we participated in. This grant will be geared towards recruitment and retention. This is the same grant program the Florida Fire Chiefs Association has applied for, and we've utilized funds from their grants over the last 3 years. This has helped our promotional, recruitment and retention, our flyers that we have printed, our promotional tents that we have, recruitment and retention. This is geared towards all the fire departments. It will be geared towards all the fire departments in the county, not just Levy County, but geared towards all the municipal fire departments to benefit from this grant package. So we would be writing the grant as the county, but it would be tailored towards all fire departments in the county for recruitment and retention, specifically for their areas of need as well. The 100% grant, there is no match from the county with this grant package.
Are there any questions for David?
How much are you looking at?
We're looking between the people we've worked with between 1 million and 1.5 million. And once we have the package completed, Mrs. Brooks, we will bring it back so the board can see exactly what we packaged.
That's gonna match, right?
no match cost, so it's 100% funds.
And all you're doing is that, Mr. Simon, grant electronic,
Yes, sir.
if we get the grant, they would, Miss Annie get a chance to look at it before you send it back.
It will need legal sufficiency before we even, sign for it, so we run it all through Ms. Annie Brown before we can submit it. That's our standard practice, we do that with all of our paperwork.
I'll make a motion to let it sign. Electronic.
We have a motion by Commissioner Joyner, a second by Commissioner Stevens. Is there any further discussion?
That's $1 million free money. Well, ain't nothing free.
You paid for the grant with your tax money, remember that you,
Have you talked with any of the local
Yes.
fire departments?
Yes, sir, there's one, I have not been able to reach Cedar Key, but I have talked with all the other fire chiefs, and we'll discuss it on Thursday next meeting.
And we're gonna work with them to
Yes. This
help them
facilitate
recruit
all,
and retain.
yes, sir,
when's your next chief's meeting?
Thursday night, man, at 5:30.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion, Mr. Witt?
Well, so you're gonna actually, this money's gonna be actually used to recruit firefighters for the city fire departments, independent of the county, there'll be no strings attached to that?
Yes, sir, the grant program for all municipalities and the county participating.
How does that work, the recruiting aspect of it, how does that work?
There's several different, ones in the past that we used with the Florida Fire Association, they did, Facebook programs, they did Pandora programs, they did marketing, they did billboards, they did, flyers, placemats for restaurants, there's a whole barrage of different opportunities that we'll be working with to recruit, attract, recruit, and retain firefighters in the program. As well as if you recall, some of our previous two firefighters won classes ago, where the Safe Route Grant provided bunker gear at no cost to the county for those firefighters. You probably have City of Bronson, participated in that, and I forget what the other two fire departments were, but that was another program that we'll be working for as well. And so they finished this firefighter one, the grant will also provide a set of bunker gear, roughly $2,200 expense on that grant program as well to help recruit and retain firefighters. So it's just a barrage of different programs that we'll be putting together. And you'll see that list once we prepare it and everything.
Does anyone go around to the schools now and talk to the seniors?
Yes, ma'am. We, have been very successful in the Chiefland High School. It's just time management of staffing to be able to do that, but we do try to. And we've been very successful with the health science program at the Chiefland High School. And we are trying to work towards getting in there more often, but it's time management of our staff. But we are working for that. We've been very successful at Chiefland High School. We have 13, I'm not sure the exact number, was 13 EMTs graduated the dual enrollment program last year, coming out of Central Florida Community College at Chiefland High School. So it's been made out a great success, and we've brought in, I think, 4 from that program as volunteers so far with our system.
All right, Mr. Witt?
Would these firefighters, would they be trained at your Department of Public Safety? Is that what the plan is?
That's what we've always done, so that wouldn't change.
What if they wanted to go to, is it in Ocala?
For our firefighter 2 program, depends on how we write the grant now, but we want to facilitate, we have the program here in Levy County, that's kind of one of those things to look at. If we're able to provide it here at no cost to the student, utilizing our instructors in our facility, would we want to pay $1,800 to send them outside to go to the same program that we put on here? Cost of balance on that. On the Firefighter 2 program, yes, you do need to send them off to Ocala or Citrus County or Fire Academy. But the Firefighter 1 program we do here in-house. So it's kind of, if we teach it, we do it here as we have been, or pay I forget exactly now, $1,200 to $1,800 to send them somewhere for a Firefighter 1 class. And we want to retain our local, buy-in from our residents and our youth here in the organization by keeping them here on school here.
And how long does it take? Well, if they've already had that and they want to go to Ocala to get their
Firefighter 2. Once they come to the program, we do pay for them to get to the Firefighter 2. We help them use grant programs. We have one person in school right now that we're paying for Firefighter 2. So yes, ma'am, we have done that as well. And 4 years ago now, 3 years ago, I think we paid for 16 people on grant program to go through the 552 program. So to help facilitate those grants as well.
Mr. Hardison?
The grant range, is there a range on this 1 million two, or is it just 1 million?
That's what we're looking to apply for. The success rate, anything over 1.5, 1.6 is really, the success rate has not been that great. So the folks we've been working with, work with the Florida Fire Chiefs Association with their grant packages. That's the range they said that is an amicable range to work with them.
So 1 to 1.5?
That's what they're saying is a justifiable number to work with.
Any other questions? Mr. Witt?
Would the grant allow city fire departments to do their own training if they wanted to for firefighter one?
They can do that now if they like.
I mean, would the grant do that? Would the grant pay for someone to come in and do the training right there at the city fire department? Rather than that DPS?
Depends on how we write the grant. We don't wanna have firefighter one classes going on all around the county to kind of keep the program going solid. But you can have, and it depends on how we write the grant, but typically all of our firefighter one classes, there is no cost because that's part of the fire assessment program is paying for the county to provide those classes to the municipalities. That's what your fire assessment fund is for. So
What I'm driving at is that if they're trained in DPS, then do they become DPS employees?
No, sir. No, sir.
I heard some comments about that.
We don't make anybody become a DPS employee. We provide the firefighter one class.
All right. Any other questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioners.
Alice, good morning.
I am requesting for the adoption of resolution 2016-04 to schedule a public hearing on Tuesday, March 8th, 2016 at 9 a.m. for the closure of a portion of Southwest 123rd Avenue, which is also known as Palm Avenue, and Southwest 122nd Terrace, also known as Walnut Avenue, located in the Cedar Key Heights subdivision by the petitioners are Mr. James Mason II and Nancy Mason, and Robert Palmer and Jamie Palmer.
It's a pleasure of the board.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Rooks, second by Commissioner Joyner. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Good morning, Shelley.
Good morning. One item under six, it's staff requests a motion to approve a deferred payment loan agreement for Mercedes Williams, PA 531. It's for a down payment amount or closing cost amount of $20,000 for an existing house in Cheeseland. It's at 6391 Northwest 150th Street in Cheeseland, Florida. And this is, I believe this is a moderate income qualified individual, and they're eligible for up to 20% of the purchase price for down payment.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Rock Meeks. Is there a second by Commissioner Rooks? Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Shelley, for your help with my presentation
Oh, good.
at the task force meeting. Very well.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. Conley.
How are y'all?
Great, how are you? How's your mother doing?
Much better, thank you. We're getting there.
I have a couple of things this morning. We'll start out, what I'm requesting is in our software that we have, I'm always looking for ways to try to cut in expenses, due to our loss again of Medicaid funding. So what I've done is I've reached out and looked at another software. So today what I'm asking is approval, and let me pass out, this is a copy or a draft of a letter that Miss Annie has put together to terminate the contract with RouteMatch, who is our current software provider. What I wanted to do is, we have a limited amount of time, we need to get this in, but I want to get some other things put in place before we finalize that letter. I've got to get some contact names, and we just want to make sure that, where we're at with getting out of the RouteMatch contract. So that's the first approval, is to, for the letter of termination, with the chair signing it. The next is requesting approval to waive any bid process for the acquisition of the software. This isn't with a grant, so we don't need it, but the cost to get into the initial the software with CTS, they're waiving the software cost. So for them to come in and set up our software, it is on $7,800, and then the yearly amount is about $21,000 a year with support and upgrades and stuff that would come. Currently, we're paying just over $40,000 with RouteMatch software. So it would be a substantial savings. The savings is around $19,800 a year for us. The software is comparable with what we currently have. Actually, when I came here in 2003, we actually had CTS software. When Desiree Painter was here, we received a grant and she wanted to change software, so that's when we ended up going with RouteMatch. You know, times change, funding's been cut, so it's time to, you know, steady looking for those places that we can reduce our costs. And then the last thing also is I've received a confidentiality agreement from CTS software so that I can review what the software actually looks like now, what kind of reports, which again, they've told me the reports are comparable with what we're doing with RouteMatch. That they're asking for this confidentiality so that I can review the demonstration of the software. So I just need an approval for a signature on that as well.
My only concern is, and I'm always in favor of saving money, don't get me wrong, but it's not, are we gonna still be able to utilize the same equipment, the same transponders, all of those sort of things, or all the buses gonna be refitted?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely, none of that will
So it's
change.
just a software?
It's a software
All the
change.
hardware we have will be
Yes.
Compatible with
It's all compatible.
We go through all with one, we can accomplish that man
Just
all
to
one.
clarify, you're being asked to do three things here. One is to, send a termination letter to RouteMatch once Connie figures out that she'll be able to be up and running in time, because it's gotta be May 1st termination. And the second thing is to waive the bid procedures for CTS, and the third is to approve the confidentiality agreement. You can do all that in one motion. Just wanted to clarify, those are the three things that you're doing.
And the purpose for waiving the bid is due to the time constraint?
I
Yes,
don't know.
it is.
Miss Annie, if we gonna get penalized for terminating this contract?
No. Now, if everything doesn't fall into place so that we can send the letter to terminate by May 1st, you're gonna have to pay for another year of support services. And it'd have to be the next week.
So we would have to wait another year to change software.
And that just depends on how everything goes.
Yes, sir.
So we've had experience.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Gaither?
Why are we
bypassing the bid process? Did I misunderstand?
constraint.
Time constraints,
Be done
yes,
by May
ma'am.
first.
So we needed to start earlier.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Witt,
Just for the record, the $21,000 comes out of grant funds, $21,000 that you're paying for?
Yes, we have operational funds that cover those costs, just so everyone knows, everything that we pay for, we have operational grants to cover those funds.
yes, sir.
Question about, again, coming back to the bid, has CTS software been installed in any other jurisdiction where they have gone through a bid process, so that we can piggyback on that rather than, do we know?
No, sir, I don't know. I know that there's other agencies within the state of Florida that have CTS. One of the other things is, because I'm familiar somewhat with CTS because we had it in previous years, you know, talking to them, most companies want you to pay just like RouteMatch software. When we initially got with RouteMatch software, it was almost $200,000 worth of grant money that we had to produce and come up with a match, which we had, but most companies want to charge you for the software. CTS is willing. What they're doing is they're building their base back up. They're a great company, but they're pulling some customers who have left them back in, and there's been 6 or 7 in the past about 8 or 9 months that actually left RouteMatch and went to CTS. My main thing that I'm looking at is what it's going to cost substantially. We're getting ready here in another couple of months to begin to do our budget once again, and if I could cut, you know, almost $20,000 out of my budget for next year, that would make a tremendous difference in where we're at with what we're doing.
And you also said they're gonna waive the 7,800 for.
No, the 7,800 is for training to come in, because we would have to be trained once again for the CTS software, for them to come in and do that.
Ms. Gaten,
The ones that have changed over to CTS, that were on RouteMaster, did they go through the bid process, and do you know where they hit as far as cost or anything?
No, ma'am, I don't know any of that.
Ms. Cannon,
Mr. Chairman, I would like to encourage the board to approve Ms. Connie's request.
thank you, Ms. Cannon. Any other questions, comments? It's a pleasure of the board.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Motion by Commissioner Jordan, second by Commissioner Rob Meeks. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carried.
Thank you. The next item that I have is, this is, actually, I had brought this, I think, back in December. It's on our 5339 grant for a bus, and what we're doing here is, all we're doing is, I had to ask for a change in the joint participation agreement. Initially for the bus, we had requested for a 23-foot bus. For the amount of money that we were funded, we need to actually purchase a 28-foot bus, so that's the difference in the supplemental agreement, the joint participation agreement here.
So they gave us more money to get a bigger bus.
We got any 28-foot buses?
Yes, we do. We have several. Yes, sir.
So we don't got, I mean, the reason I'm asking,
Actually, we have some large.
23 to 28, do you have to get a different kind of license, or
No.
they're all fitted in?
Well, when you get into anything bigger than the smaller buses that you see we drive, those bigger buses, yeah, everybody has to be, actually they get a class C as a CDL, but it holds 20 passengers, and we have to have a passenger endorsement that goes with them.
I'm saying it's not gonna put you on a.
Oh,
burden.
no, sir, we have,
It's not gonna cover.
yes, sir, all our drivers have that, except our new ones who are working towards that.
Mr. motion by Commissioner Rock Meeks and a second by Commissioner Stevens to amend the supplemental joint participation agreement. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to pass this out, and share this. It's actually something very sweet that we don't get very often, but, at TD Senior Day at the Capitol this year, I received an email, letting me know that there was 2 ladies from Levy County that had stopped by their booth, and once they found out that they were the TD Commission and that we provide TD trips, they were very complimentary of Levy County Transit. They also recalled that a funeral that was held at a lodge where they had no way to get a person that was using a wheelchair to that event, and we did provide that person in the wheelchair actually transportation to get to the funeral without any cost to them. So said they were very blessed for the program and they thought our program was wonderful, and just wanted to share that. That came from actually our TD Commission who sent the email.
Thank you.
Connie, I'm gonna tell you too, thank you for always looking a way to save money.
I'm trying.
And I really do appreciate it, and I know the taxpayers do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Tony.
Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Miss Ann Brown.
Morning, some more good news. We received a notice from the Attorney General's office about a case that actually involved several states, and it was a supplier called Stericycle, who supplies waste, sterile disposal of waste, and there was some fraud claims against them. Actually, they started in Illinois, Florida got included, and they were found guilty. The part of the settlement was that they would provide to each of the attorney generals of the states that were involved a list of the potential of the claims that they had during the time frame. Levy County was one of those, and the formula used by the attorney general came up with $13,878.42 due to Levy County. And so they sent us the check, and if the board will approve the settlement agreement and accept the check, then that would be, we'll get the money. The only other option that you face is actually going and filing your own case under the federal fraud, and the time frames are well past. You probably only have a very short time frame that you can even recoup. It would be substantially less than this. But I did look into other options.
Let's not look a gift horse in the mouth. Take our 13,000.
Make a motion to accept that percentage.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, we are back to our second public comment section. Is there anyone here today who'd like to speak for public comment? Yes, sir, Dr. P.
Good morning.
Morning.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Meeks, Mr. Stephen, Mr. Johnny. My name is Dr. Pagiri Pat. They call me Dr. P. I'm a CEO of Regional General Hospital. I'm here for simple reason. I want to bring some facts to your attention and also to the attention of the people of Levy County. I bought the hospital in 2014. And so since I bought the hospital was in a bad shape. We have invested millions of dollars. I got let me see. Since we bought, we have improved the facility. We got a 60-floor slice CT scan, which we can do in minutes compared to 20, 30, 40 minutes for the CT scan. We have a state-of-the-art nuclear study for the heart. We have a life pack, and we have instituted electronic medical records. Now we have a cardiologist on call, and also they admit patients. They also take call, ER call, during the day. And there is a group from Ocala CBI. They were covering 7 days a week. I have a OBGYN doctor is here working 3 to 4 days a week. I have a urologist recruited him, he's coming here. I have a endocrinologist, and we are working on the other doctors. Ever since we came in, the hospital was recognized by FHA as one of the safety, number 7 in the state of Florida. And I saved about 100 regular jobs, and the hospital employs about 150 contract workers plus regular jobs. And since I took over, I provided benefits, health insurance, and other stuff. I want to pass on these things to you with attention. I have 5 copies. One my issue is last year, 2015, we have indigent patients. We have spent close to $2.25 million for the indigent care, and I provided that service out of my pocket. And I have given you all the financials for the last 2 years. Now the time has come. I tried my best to improve the hospital. Rural hospital is becoming a history in several places. But here, I tried, and I live in Levy County, and for your attention, I built a 100,000 square foot one-stop shop, which includes all multi-specialty offices in Ocala. I want to do it here, but the money earmarked to do certain things, I'm spending for indigent care. The reason is, it's by law, I cannot say no. Any other business can say no, but a hospital being a hospital, I am bound legally to provide the services. And time has come, I have to make a decision what to do with this hospital. EMS here takes 6,000 trips to North Florida and Shands. We get about 20 a month. That's a lifeline for these hospitals. If you don't do that, we can't survive. So the hospital, I may have to close it down, or I have to find a solution or turn it to a chronic nursing home, chronic care, or close it completely. I'm in a really bad situation, and I just wanted to bring it to the attention of people of Levy County and elected officials and all other people. You know, Chiefland tried to build a hospital, 25-bedded hospital for $40 plus million. They never got off the ground. And now, the reality is this. Now you have 7 transports doing an ambulances to the out-of-county hospitals. I, from the hospital, treated in the emergency room 7,200 people. If you close it, you'll be doing 7,200 transports in addition to 5,000 you're doing now. So you may need another 7 or 8 transports to take all the people from here to the out of the country. That's the thing you have to think about. And you have, I mean, you know, I'm telling the facts. You know, fact is a fact, and I wanted people of Levy County must know. You have employed Shands Hospital and North Florida as your medical director. They send their employees to be medical director. What do? They try to help their hospital. They write protocols that dictates patients to take to the hospital. And it's a mere conflict of interest. If you really wanted, you know, I mean, the people of Levy County must know that people should not have medical director in that position, should not be medical director, because they are serving self-referral, which is illegal. So we are in a situation where transports, I don't know what to do, but I just wanted to bring it to the attention of everybody. And I hate to lose 150 jobs. We need some help. And we, you know, there's some allocation of funds there, Medicaid funds that come to us, but I know we never reached the commissioners. But I thought I should bring this. Time has come for me. I need some help. We didn't pay taxes for the last 2 years, so I need some kind of help. I'm trying to keep the jobs. I need your help. So that's all I'm going to say. And thank you very much for giving some time to listen. But we have saved a lot of time. Out of 7,200 patients came to our hospital, barely about 100 to 150 transports we did from hospital to the other county. So we are trying to do our best. I did my best. And some of you came to the hospital, and we have really taken care of you guys. And you're happy that what the services provided at the hospital. But I hate to do this. I don't have too much time to keep it going, you know, putting the, you know, $3.5 million since I came. And it's my money. And I can't support unless there's a support from all of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Cannon.
Mr. Chairman, with all due respect to Dr. King, would you please have Mr. Knowles tell us, to the best of my knowledge, every time I used an ambulance, and unfortunately that was twice so far, we are always asked which hospital we wish to be taken to. And what I'm driving at, to the best of my knowledge, there is no coercion by Shands or North Florida to tell the patient, or better said, DPS, that the patient will be taken there. That would remind me of communist days in Germany. That reminds me of single-payer provisions, and that's what would get my immediate attention. And so, just for the record, Mr. Knowles, would you please tell us if that is correct?
No?
That is correct. Ms. Brown, and with the discussions you and I have had previously, we want to be cautious to what we discuss here as well.
I'm drawing a blank about which discussions we're talking, but.
Yes, ma'am, that is true. This is, Mrs. Cannon.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So I was unclear, is Mr. Knowles?
Can you state your name for the
Joseph Lander. I'm actually with the hospital, so we're all correct. Is Mr. Knowles saying that nobody that they transport asks to go to Wilson Hospital and they tell them that they won't take them there?
I don't think that was what we said.
No. Oh, that's why I'm asking for clarification, because she was saying.
Ms. Cannon's comment, if I'm correct, was every time she's been transported, the 2 times, they've asked her which hospital she would like to go to. That there was no, do you want to go to hospital A or hospital B? It's just, which hospital would you like to go to?
Now, I would
they have the opportunity to say Williston or Seven Rivers or Shands or North Florida.
Well, our experience is if they do say Williston, that they're told that they won't take them there.
That would, if that were so, then I would assume that would be because of the medical condition that the hospital at that time of transport could not possibly handle the gravity, let's put it for lack of a better word, of the medical situation, like I experienced personally in Texas when I was a military dependent, and so they were taking me to a military hospital, and on the route, just like it's done in Levy County, the personnel will communicate with the medical director to inquire what the patient, where the patient could best be handled medically speaking. And that military hospital declined and said they could not provide for me. And by the grace of God, I made it in time to the city-owned hospital and survived. But that would be the situation this gentleman might be referring to.
Mr. Art, do you have a question?
I was told by EMS one time that if it was a major emergency, they were required to take you to the nearest hospital, which would have been Wilson. And I refused to go. But that's what I was told. If it was a major emergency, they're required. But they did relinquish the belief, so I don't understand the other part of it.
Yes, sir. Mr. Becky.
When I did work for public safety, I worked in cardiac arrest and had to call medical direction. In our protocols, it was said to take your cardiac arrest to the closest facility, closest appropriate facility. Well, the closest facility was Regional General, and that was to get the highest level of care, which would have been a medical doctor or a medical a physician. I had to call medical control because I was told by my captain not to take that to Regional General. Why are we, I mean, we should be taking that to the closest facility. I mean, if that was my mother, my father, one of you all, I would want that to go to the highest level of care, which would have been Regional General. There's no sense in bypassing a perfectly good hospital with a higher level of care, driving 40 miles away for the same level of care. I mean, they all get the same level of training. I mean, regardless of what school they go to, they all get the same level of training. There's no sense in bypassing a hospital to go 40 miles away, doing compressions on somebody's chest, on somebody's lobe.
That 70 to 80% of people that go to out of county, they are discharged from ER. Means, you don't need 80% of the transports to go out of it. County.
I can tell you when I was over there, I went over there for an event that they were having and ended up in the emergency room. And I had all kind of tests run, CT, everything. Within 30 minutes, I had the results. And thank goodness I didn't have a bleed going on in my brain, because that's what I was concerned about. They had a heart doctor there. He checked me out. I mean, it just one. Everything happened so fast. And I got excellent treatment there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna try to say this delicately as I can, but it's real tough sometimes. Especially my men, we get banged up quite a bit. I brought several of my men off there. They got excellent care. I had to go there 3 weeks ago. And by the way, you got a pretty good bone doctor there too, so he fixed your broke bone. Got the utmost care. I mean, I couldn't ask about it.
Thank you, sir.
It was great. The problem here is all of us in this room know is that hospital has got a bad reputation and a bad taste in the residents of this county. That hospital got a bad reputation. So, Doc, you have got a wonderful hospital. You've got great people. But it's your job to promote it. We can't get out there and put out billboards for it, buddy. I will go there the next time, I guarantee you.
Thank you.
I'll go there every time I go. If it's either there or more, I mean, whichever comes worse.
I try to, but you know.
But you're the one that, you have a great staff, a great hospital. That hospital's got a bad reputation. How do we cure it? There's got to be a cure somewhere. I don't want to see it go nowhere. I want you to stay here. I want the hospital to stay open. The citizens of this county need that hospital.
This is a public-private partnership. I'm here to help the county, and I did my share. And let us do something to save the jobs and save the hospital. And here I did not, and to tell you the truth, I came here, I want to give back to the community. So one of the reasons I took and I saved the jobs. And today we have 150 jobs, both contract as well as regular employees. But unfortunately, I cannot take for a long time. I need to work, we can find a way, and I hate to lose the jobs, but I need help from you.
If Ms. Cannon said the perfect word, if you get an ambulance, the first thing they're gonna ask you is, where do you want to go? Now, if Ms. Cannon says I want to go to Gainesville, that's where they're gonna take her. If she says I want to go to Williston, that's where they're gonna take her.
But we have experience, my own employees, who I pay my own insurance. My employees want to come to my hospital, they were bused to the other hospital.
I don't want, again, I want to express to you, I don't want the hospital going anywhere. We need it. We benefit from it. I have. But how do you promote it from being a bad taste in people's mouth to a hospital worth keeping the doors open and going to? It's the solution we need to come to is how are we going to do that? Yes, sir. I'm sorry, Chairman.
One of the difficulties that the hospital faces is when people do request to go to Williston and they're told by the ambulance that that's not an appropriate facility, that perpetuates the negative stereotype within the community. our own pharmacist, and she's given me permission to relate this, literally had to get out of an ambulance who refused to take her to Williston within a mile of the facility and get in I believe it was a cop car, sheriff's car, to take her to our hospital because Levy County EMS would not take her there. They wanted to take her to Shane. It's for a broken nose in a vehicle accident. It was fixed. She's tickled to death. The hospital took well care of her. Now, this is a registered pharmacist. This is not someone who doesn't understand, medicine. We could fill this room with people that we have documented, things from them showing their request to come to Williston, and they're told it's not appropriate facility. And one of our own narratives that we get from Levy County EMS, the ambulance driver puts right in there. I tried to talk them out of it, and we ended up taking them there anyway. So when you talk about overcoming the negative stereotype, that's a large part of it. We can do all kinds of programs in the community to educate the community about the advantages, about the upgrades, and about the people that we have there. But when they have an issue and they have to go there and they're not taken there, it destroys all of that goodwill that the hospital's trying to build up.
I'm gonna make one comment and then I'll get to you, Ms. Gaten. Those are serious allegations, and if you can provide those, I would like to see them, because I sat in a medical directors meeting myself almost a year ago, and the same topic was brought up. And whenever myself sitting in that meeting asked for evidence of this, names, dates, times, nobody ever provided them.
Okay,
but I would like to see something to that effect.
Okay.
Now, let me add on to that, because Melanie, the Mayor Heathcote's daughter, took the place of this other lady that was there. And I asked that same question to that lady prior to Melanie coming there, that same question. And I have yet to this day to get any of that. Now, I'm going to add just a little bit more to this conversation, and this is probably parts of what nobody wants to hear. Before we had the medical directors from Shands and North Florida, Dr. Donnie McCoy was the county's medical director. He's got an office right across from the hospital. From what he has told me all through the years, and according to our new medical directors that we got 3 or 4 years ago, is there state statutes that say a hospital has to have and meet certain criteria to provide certain levels of service 24 hours a day.
Right.
Now, from what I understood Dr. P to say is you have those on call. Yes, sir. He said the word on call on several of those. Now, with that being said, and if somebody requests to go somewhere, that's fine. And if our med units drop them off, and an hour later they have to be picked back up and taken to an appropriate hospital, who's going to pay that bill? That person that got one transport has now turned into 2. So you got to look at the wide picture here. And to add on to what Commissioner Joyner said, yes, that hospital has a great deal of history to overcome, and it's slowly coming around. But from what I'm hearing is Dr. P is trying to put pressure on this board to change protocols of doctors that we have on staff that is helping us and our people provide a higher level of service than we have ever had before. And now all of a sudden we want to throw that away and jeopardize something that we probably don't want to get involved in. And so there's a lot of things that's not being said, but it's certainly skirting those issues. And so if we want to save one, let's cover the whole gamut out here and not just hit the rosy.
Well, I'm not understanding what you're saying that's not being covered.
Okay.
This is what I just wanted to do. How many patients they were brought to the hospital, taken right away last 1 year? I told you, out of the 72 ER visits we have less than 200 patients were transported to the higher care of the service. And the next thing you have to look at is, of the patients, they go 70 to 80% of the people discharged from the ER. Yes, there are some people need a higher level of service. I agree. But majority of the patients, they don't need to be transported that far.
Have you spoke with Mr. David Pieklin with the Nature Coast Business Development Council?
No, sir.
Okay. He is under contract with the county. He helps businesses like yours to obtain funding, grants, money, anything that can help keep you in business. I don't know if those things, if those programs are retroactive. You've told us here that you spent money on equipment and machinery to bring your hospital up to date, make it more state of the art. There's a very good possibility that he can help you attain funding to offset some of that cost. So I encourage you to do that. If one of your staff members or you would get with Mr. Moody after the meeting, he can give you David's contact information. I don't have David's phone number. And you can contact him.
Sure.
That can help you with some of your monetary concerns.
We are applying a lot of grants,
Yes.
but unfortunately, we haven't got any one of them.
Well,
And I'm doing part of my part.
yes, I understand that, but work with, if you contact David and work with him, we have some incentive programs, even within the county that you may qualify for. I'm not promising you that you will, but you may. And to reiterate what Mike has said and what Danny has said, and probably what most everybody in this room will tell you, you are a community hospital, and we do want to see you succeed. But we are also tasked with the issue of, we cannot order people to take patients to you and then us have an issue. If that's the case, then we all become liable.
Yes.
So there is a protocol in place. We have met with you, and we will continue to meet and work with you to try to strengthen our relationship with your hospital and our emergency medical service, with our medical directors. Whatever we can do to work with you, we are willing to do. But we cannot conscientiously endanger lives. I'm not saying everybody we take to Gainesville has to go to Gainesville. Some of those people probably could come to you, probably should come to you. But if it's the patient's choice to go somewhere else, and they are not coerced, and to this day, I have yet to be shown any proof where a patient has been coerced to go to a different hospital.
We'll bring to your attention.
I would appreciate that.
Sure. Thank you very much.
All right, I have Ms. Gaither first.
Yes, sir. Did I understand Dr. P to say that even some of the people that work for him that have the health insurance choose to go to another hospital instead of his?
No, choose to go to my hospital.
Okay.
Were taken to.
Yeah, they chose to go to your hospital, but they were taken someplace else
Yes,
against
sir.
their
Yes,
will?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Really?
Yes. Jones.
As you're aware, I represent the professional firefighters, paramedics, and EMTs of this county. I don't wish to get in between this. I just want to clarify for the record and back up what Commissioner Stevens said. The people that I represent, and I'm sure you didn't mean it this way, but these guys provide, and men and women, top-notch medical care. They have rules, laws, standards, and protocols they have to abide by. I don't want it to sound like anybody that I represent is doing this maliciously. It's not like that. We are good people. We provide good medical care. We just do what someone else tells us to do.
Exactly.
So
I fully believe that.
Whatever that's between y'all, but don't hold any hard feelings towards the people that transport you to the hospital. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Nancy Weiniger. I just need a point of clarification here. For protocol, when someone is picked up by the EMTs or paramedics, then they are asked first where they want to go, and it's based on their decision plus their medical condition, or the medical condition comes first. Which is it? How does that work?
Director Knowles, would you like to respond to that question?
Depends on their condition. If they're not awake, alert, and orientated, then the protocols we follow for which facility they are to go to. If they are awake, alert, and oriented, we do they do advise us to talk to the like to go to. If the condition warrants, is not warranted for that facility, we make sure we educate them of the capabilities of the facility. Did that answer your
So
question?
regional general is on the list here.
Oh, we
It
can
just
transport all
depends-
hospitals, yes.
So it just depends on what they, okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
The only thing I wanted to remind before I go is, in case hospital is going to go down, you have to make an arrangement of, tax the people more, you need to improve your transportation twice what you have. That's the consequence of, if I can run it. Okay, so just make you aware of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Vice wanted, was Mr. P, or Dr. P, Dr. P, were you asking them to change the protocol? So
I did.
Pardon me, no?
I did not.
You did not? Okay, what were you asking them to do then? Other than help you?
We probably need you to get back on the mic for that answer, please.
The thing is, Williston Hospital is a rural hospital. It cannot compete with the Chance Hospital. It cannot compete with the North Florida Hospital. They have millions of dollars to do things that, the care, top care. What's happening today is people of this county were bused to the other place. So what's happening? The cost of healthcare is going up in the Levy County. Means your premiums are decided by the cost that's happening. So now if you can see, school board cannot afford to take their health insurance. So they are self-funded, and because they can't afford the insurance. These are the things happen. But my answer to you is, I'm not asking to change the protocol. If your protocol is that good, why more than 70 to 80% of the people are treated in the emergency room and they are left alone to drive back themselves? That's all I'm questioning. Your protocol is that good. Why 70 to 80% of the people were treated in the ER and sent back to Levy County? So there need to be looked into. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. P.
All right, anybody else for public comment? All right, I'd like to welcome Under Sheriff Brett Beecham. He's here with us today, representing the sheriff. I guess the sheriff is still fun and sunning at the sheriff's conference.
Yes, sir, he is.
Yeah, I don't know. Glad we didn't get that on the record. Mr. Litton, how are things in Wilson? Oh, you was going to say?
No, I don't have it. I didn't know if you were calling me.
No, what you just said, the sheriff's going to call you up.
I don't have anything, I'm dressed a little nicer than normal. We have a corrections graduate graduating from CF tonight, and we always need good corrections officers at the jail, and that's will explain my attire. But good morning, everyone. Don't call me up here anymore.
Thanks, Sheriff.
My sheriff usually does that for
Thanks for being here. Mr. Lippman, how are things in Williston?
Well,
Any announcements, news, anything?
if there's anyone who may have been acquainted with Mr. Bobby Williams, you may or may not know that he passed away in an automobile accident about a week ago. The funeral is this coming Saturday at the First Baptist Church in Williston. Visitation is at 10 a.m. and the funeral service will begin at 11 a.m.
Thank you. I see City Councilman Matt Brooks is here. Mr. Brooks, how are you?
Pretty good.
And the young lady sitting next to you is running for City Council.
I am in Williston, yes, sir.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Nancy Weiniger. I've had articles in the paper. I'm getting to as many events as I can to meet people and find out I know what I think about Williston, but I want to know what they think. so I'm spending a lot of time out on the street.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
All right. I don't think I missed anybody. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Jordan.
Brett, come back up this way. No, I'm joking. I'm teasing.
This is wrong.
Oh, if y'all didn't go to the gospel thing Sunday night, you missed a blessing. It was wonderful. It was packed and wonderful. I want to ask Mr. Freddie one question. Are we getting closer, or what are we gonna do about Mr. Greenlee's job that was left this vacant?
I will follow the lead of the board whenever they're ready to go through that process. Right now, Mr. Wilbur's been going out there on a regular basis, and Alice and Casey and Jesse and Kelly are doing a good job. But I guess we just need to talk about it, and then go through an advertising process or an appointment, whatever.
I guess that's right. So are we gonna fill it or keep it as is? It's going good now? I don't hear anything good things from it.
Yeah, we're evaluating as we go, and there was always that talk about two heads out there, so we had the construction superintendent and administrative, and right now, it's working fine.
That's fine with me. We need to know where we were.
I think we're in good shape at the moment, and we'll just continue to look at it and see where we're at. If the workload gets more, but right now it's kind of a lull too. There's not a lot going on, as been pointed out by the size of our agendas and all, but our road projects are going along very well. The kind of money that we've got to put into road projects is going along okay. And our state DOT stuff is still being handled very efficiently.
Very good. I'm done.
Ms. Cannon.
Mr. Chairman, is Mr. Greenlee's job being advertised?
No, we haven't decided if we're gonna restore it this time or not. So it's not being advertised.
Are you going to advertise it when you
We
have?
will, yes ma'am.
I appreciate that.
Sometimes, we do promotions within the county, Miss Cannon, but that's not all the time. But I mean, we did it with John McDonald, if we got somebody just ready to move into it. But in this case, we would probably advertise and see what's available out there, because we don't have somebody ready to move right into it.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Moody's comment taken into course, even if you advertise even if you fill the position from inside, I would think it behooves the county to have the position advertised, because you may have somebody that is having superior qualifications to the inside person that you might be taking.
Yes, ma'am. Duly noted. Thank you, Ms. Cannon.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, sir.
I just appreciate.
Say whatever you want.
One of the guys that work for me on working guys with me and all, I appreciate y'all putting a little boy 7 years old in your prayers. We were working the other day and he got kicked right in the face by a horse. And he's in Shands now. So y'all just keep me in prayer.
Ms. Rutherford? Commissioner Stevens?
Mr. Littman and Mr. Joyner took care of mine, so I'm good.
Sorry about that, Daddy boy.
You all right?
I will be going to Tallahassee today
Yes, ma'am. For what?
for a meeting.
Well, I know that.
For fun in the sun.
No, I know better than that. There ain't no fun or no sun in Tallahassee these days.
All County Coalition meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Stevens, no. Mr. Meeks? Commissioner Meeks?
A lot of events coming up. FFA
rodeo's coming up in March. I'm going ahead and saying this now before I forget, but chili cook-off, pie, cake auction, cheap one FFA on the 12th. And Swanee River Fair coming up.
March.
It's coming up in March.
You got the,
I'm just getting into February. March.
yeah, you got the Swanee River Fair. We were looking at the calendar yesterday, and the Levy County Fair is March 31st.
Yes. Yeah.
There's some fairs coming up, in the Levy County Fair in Williston is March 31st through April 4th, I think, or something like that.
Mr. Danny, do you remember, if you could share with us, please, I forgot, when is the y'all cook off at the church?
The 20th, isn't it, Matt?
20th.
When?
20th.
20th of February?
Yes.
Why, you gonna enter?
No, I would just say, I'm on your cooking team, I wanna know when the beer.
And it starts at 8 a.m.
What's on my map, on my calendar here, sir.
Well, don't you like the cookers at midnight, Matt?
I think they're doing a little bit different this year. There's cook-off and a bow shoot.
I don't know they're doing brisket, I think they're just doing ribs, right?
They're still gonna do brisket, but I think they're gonna.
Mr. Wayne told me to tell all y'all stay home, it's a done deal. I'm just telling you what he said.
I'm just handling the judges and tasting. So.
Anything else, Rob?
I'm good.
Well, much to my delight, I was weighed down and burdened with a lot of announcements today. So, February 6th, the Yankeetown English Lions Club will be having their 4th annual Super Bowl weekend. They'll have breakfast and pancakes, egg sausage, $5 per person. Kids 10 and under eat free if accompanied by an adult. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, of course, we have the Cedar Key Lions Club Valentine's Day dinner dance, $25 per person, and a silent auction. February 20th, Cedar Key Arts Center presents their fun-filled home tour. Unique Cedar Key homes on tour, refreshments at 2 homes benefiting the Cedar Key Art Gallery. February 13th and 27th is the Chief on Farmers Market, and February 27th is the Yankeetown South Levy Marketplace. In addition, this month we have the Superintendent's Gala, I think is on the 20th. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
Superintendent's Gala, yes, would be on the 20th of February. And we want to participate in that. Florida Association of Counties, in conjunction with the Small County Coalition, is having their legislative days in Tallahassee today and tomorrow. Keynote speakers on Wednesday would be Adam Putnam, Governor Rick Scott, Senate President Andy Garner, and Senator Jack Latvala. We'll talk about many subjects that are key and crucial to county commissioners and to the general public as we are into our 3rd week of legislation. Of the legislative term. A lot of things are happening, things are moving very fast up in Tallahassee, so keep your eye on those issues. Another announcement, of course, I announced the last meeting that Mr. Fuller, longtime employee of Levy County, was retiring. In the interim, he has been replaced by Brian Estevez. He will be the Levy County Extension 4-H Youth Development Agent. He's on loan to us from Swanee County, and we appreciate him being here. And Ms. B.J. Jarvis is serving in the position of Interim County Extension Director. She's here, I believe, serving 1 day a week, roughly. Of course, if there's a big event like the fair, I'm sure that she'll be here for more than 1 day. Skip over that for now. Got a email, very important email from Steve Menace at Swanee River Water Management District. There is a lot of concern about the springs restoration and water supply, water conservation here in Levy County. So we are asking that you please contact your state representative and state senator. State representative, of course, is Charlie Stone. Your senator is Charlie Dean. Contact them and tell them to toe the line and do what we have to do to protect Florida's waters. And finally, we received an email from the Florida Association of Counties, and in the past there's been some question about what benefits does Levy County get from the association. And one of the biggest benefits I've received is you meet other commissioners from other communities, other counties, and discuss your issues and your problems, and they sometimes lend guidance on how they've handled that situation in the past, or sometimes you can even lend assistance to them. But more directly, last year the Florida Association of Counties tracked a report on 100 bills affecting county government and kept our members informed. Some direct impact was they stopped a $6,382 impact to Levy County by preventing a reduction in the commercial sales tax exemption. They stopped a $36,000 impact on Levy County by advocating against a reduction to the local communication service tax. They prevented a massive cost shift that is probably unknown whenever we were able to defeat the utility relocation bill. And they also stopped an preserved home rule by killing a bill that would prevent local governments from regulating TNCs like Uber and Lyft, which of course we don't have problems with Uber and Lyft here in Levy County, but in some of the larger counties, it is becoming a problem because they are unregulated. And as we move forward into the future, you'd be surprised at what we may find in Levy County. Ms. Connie can attest to that with the change in the Medicaid billing in our Nature Coast Transit, where we used to haul folks on buses, with wheelchair lifts and very professional. Some of the people that have replaced us now haul our patients in cars and have to put the wheelchairs in the trunk. I mean, it's not near the level of professionalism that Levy County Transit displays. And of course, they provide educational opportunities for our county commissioners, and I'm proud to announce that Ms. Rooks is a longtime ACC graduate, and I am one of the most recent ACC graduates. So that's what the association does. Speaking of the association, I was on a phone call. I'm really going to wrap this up really quick, I promise. Legislative Executive Committee conference call on Friday. One of the things that's coming to light now is a public records request issue. They're trying to give the judges some leeway in how they award settlements in some of these public record request lawsuits, because some of them have actually become quite frivolous. Some of them are important, but a lot of them are very frivolous, and they're trying to work, the association's trying to work towards a way to get this bill or get these bills passed to give the judge some leeway. So if someone is really acting in malice and bringing frivolous lawsuits against the county or a municipality, the judge can decide to not award them anything, to try to cut some of this out. The fracking bill, which is on fast track, there's really no stopping it. But the good news is through the association and through the hard work of some commissioners and working with our legislators, we have been able to get some amendments to the fracking bill. Specifically, and the most important one, is there will be a moratorium on all fracking in the state of Florida until there is a Florida-specific study done by the Department of Environmental Protection. It doesn't matter what the effects of fracking in Arizona or Montana or wherever else they're doing it. We want one that is specific to Florida with our karst limestone underlayment in our specific geology that is true only in Florida. So that's good news. Secondly, they are putting some control back into the county's hands with zoning and land use regulations. We will be able to regulate where these activities take place, which we won't be able to prevent them, but we will at least be able to strike out zones within our county that they cannot occur. And finally, there will be a notice. They have to notify local governments on what chemicals they're using. At the beginning of this bill, whenever they first started it, there was no provision for that. They claimed that it was they were trade secrets, that they didn't have to disclose what kind of chemicals they were using, if they were using chemicals. whether or not they were using steam fracking or whether they were using chemical fracking. Now all that would have to be disclosed to the local government so that, you know, we could take appropriate action to protect our water quality. So that was pretty much the sum of the executive committee session on Friday. I attended the I-75 task force meeting on Monday. It was very eye-opening, considering that Levy County is the only county that's represented on the task force that does not currently have a high-speed transportation corridor or in the very near future, because Citrus County also does not, but they will have one. That land has been acquired. They will extend the Veterans Expressway to 44 between Inverness and Crystal River. So there, we'll see theirs in the very near future. Pros and cons were weighed out. One thing that I found was kind of funny, which y'all probably won't find as funny as I did, was as each county was allowed to give a presentation about their county, you had planners, you had consultants, you had all manner of government employees, civil employees, there to present with fancy slideshows and PowerPoints. And remember, at Levy County's time, they got the real deal. Because I was there, and I explained to them that our planner and a half that we have employed was busy and couldn't be there, and she helped me prepare our presentation, but it was on a map, a good old-fashioned paper map. So I represented well, and everybody got a kick out of it. And after I'm not bragging here, but after the meeting, many folks come to me and said they got more out of our presentation than they did out of a bunch of statistics and figures on the screen. So they were laughing. Well, I think everybody told me we spelled poor with 9 O's in Levy County. I think they figured out our financial situation. So I can see the advantages to extending a high-speed mode of transportation to get people into Levy County so they can enjoy the wonders of Levy County, as well as get our goods that we could potentially produce here and do produce here out of Levy County. But the opposite view of that is, that's going to bring more people, and that in turn brings more traffic congestion and more issues, and a high-speed road, can be an eyesore if it's not done properly. Ms. Cammy.
Mr. Chairman, you told us that Swanee River, Steve Menace is asking us to contact the legislators for this county for the spring protection. That is a laudable effort. By the same token, has he said a peep about the proposed fracking bill? What stand Swan River is taking on that?
No, ma'am, he hasn't. But
Shame on him.
from my brief knowledge of the fracking issue, most of the lands that are controlled by Swanee River Water Management District aren't lands that would ever be conducive to fracking.
Okay, you and me both know that, but that does not face the governor of this state in any direction.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
assure the least of all that greedy industry. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. So I will question Mr. Menace about that next time I see him.
Please, I'm that serious.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's the benefits of living in a school protection zone.
Yes, ma'am.
It goes both ways. Thank you.
Mr. Witt.
What would you consider a frivolous public records lawsuit?
The example that they gave on the phone call the other day on the teleconference was, and this was out of Gulfport. No, I want to say Gulf Shores, Alabama. They had a public records request for every picture that the government possessed, the local government, of people riding a bicycle. And they had 24 hours to comply.
For every person riding a bicycle?
That was their example that was used by Stephen James, who is the legislative consultant who oversees this committee. But there are many. You could have I was speaking with the attorney about it, trying to get a feel for what the County Association of Attorneys' opinion is of this. I would think they would be for any sort of change like this, because I'm sure they're inundated with all kind of lawsuits and requests to comply. But the example that Ms. Brown used was, someone who sits at home and requests all the emails sent and received by a certain person in the office or an office holder in the last hour. And then they just continuously do that all day long, every hour on the hour. So,
It's one.
you know,
Or the documents, another example was the documents on a particular official's desk at a particular time on a particular day, which is impossible to comply. That's impossible. You can't go back in time and know what those were. An email request sent to someone who is not the custodian for the department for documents, and then no follow-up. It might get lost in spam, and it can go anywhere, and then turn around and file a lawsuit. And those kinds of things have been happening, and more. And it's become abusive.
and one of the concerns is, is they going to, put a dark cloud over the sunshine law, and that's, one of the tasks is to allow protection for government. And one of the drivers of this was the group Florida Tax Watch, because their point is, these are tax dollars that are being spent defending counties and municipalities, as well as paying settlements. These are our dollars. Are they being wasted? I'll get you just a second, Ms. Cannon. It goes back to a rash of lawsuits, or similar cases of rash of lawsuits some years ago about the ADA and the pools. This was brought by Pam Bondi, the swimming pools at motels and stuff, not having a lift for handicapped folks. Well, if you didn't advertise that, you don't have to provide it. And so there were folks in South Florida who just call every hotel in the phone book and ask if they had a lift. If they didn't have a lift, then they'd file suit against them for, under the American Disabilities Act for discrimination. Whether they advertise, and so it took people time to fight these cases, and some cases were won, some cases were lost. But at the end of the day, even if you successfully defend yourself, the state of Florida rarely allows for you to go back after the plaintiff for your cost of your attorney fees.
I was at the class, of course, a seminar by Joe Chandler the other day, and he said one of the dangers of this bill passing is that people who file public records lawsuits their lawyer files on a contingency basis. The judge can now say, well, we're not going to award you any kind of attorney's fees. And it takes a lot of people out of the business of trying to get public records revealed through these lawsuits. It just discourages that. So there's a downside to this, and I'm surprised that the Florida Association of Counties is supporting a bill like this that would clamp down on public records law quite a bit. There may be abuses out there, but there's on the same token, if you give the judges the discretion of not awarding attorney's fees, a lot of these lawsuits won't be filed according to Joe Chandler. Of course, he files a lot of these lawsuits, but
and he puts on seminars.
And he puts on seminars, but he wasn't paid to do the seminar. It was a free seminar, and it was a seminar for county governments, city governments, to try to make them aware of how they can avoid lawsuits, how they should release public records, and avoid problems. But so there's a downside to according to Chandler, there's a downside to this bill because it would probably discourage legitimate lawsuits by citizens who can't afford to hire an attorney. So that's the downside of it. So is this board supporting the bill? Sounds like they are.
No, I'm not going to take a stand on either way till I have more information. I mean, this was the first I heard of it was on Friday. Ms. Cannon.
Mr. Chairman, I find it remarkable that you said that the state has to go to Gulfport, Alabama, to come up with an example of a frivolous lawsuit.
That was just an example that he used.
Oh,
I'm sure there's more. That wasn't the only one. That was just one. I mean, that's ridiculous to ask government for all the photos they have.
And there are plenty more within the state.
Unfortunate.
So that's all I have.
That's all?
That's all. Has anybody got a motion to pay the bills?
Like motion to pay the bills after that?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Carries. We have no minutes to approve. I'm getting the nod over here from my left that somebody's ready to go, so she has to be in Tallahassee. So with, there's nothing else needs to come before this board, I do declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you. Good job, John.
Yes.